Hey guys, Marky Mark here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Now let's get into the video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Switch 2. I know you probably heard about everything about the Switch 2 from every YouTuber around. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because I want to. First, that Switch 2 reveal, not reveal, but the Switch 2 Direct was one of the best directs we ever got. It showed off everything the Switch can do. It showed off all the cool features, and it has one of the best lineup of Switch games or games at launch. But I'll get into those games later. First, I'm going to talk about the specs. First, it can do 120 frames per second, 1080p in handheld mode. Then it can do 4K 120 in dock mode. That's pretty impressive for a handheld slash console hybrid, especially when you compare it to things like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally or anything of that nature. And it's got 256 gigabytes of storage. It's decent, but I kind of wish it was more around 500 gigabytes. Because games are getting bigger, and Nintendo has a habit of having an underwhelming amount of storage for their consoles. Like the Switch 1 had 32 gigabytes, then the updated Switch OLED had 64, and so you had to buy the memory cards to put in them, the micro SDs. But I get it, Nintendo, you gotta sell us your shit, you gotta sell us your accessories. I get it, but just wish it was just a little more, because games are getting up to the over 100 gigabyte mark, and just kind of would have been nice. But let's continue on. Now let's get into the games. First one is Mario Kart World. Has a bit of controversy, but we'll get into that later. Mario Kart World looks really good. The graphics are amazing. The maps look good. And you can drive on walls. You can do all this cool stuff. But the newest gimmick they added to this was you can now drive to the next track instead of waiting on a loading screen. And they have a new free roam mode. They're making it open world, which that's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting, looks pretty fun. Next, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is a 3D Donkey Kong game. We haven't had a 3D Donkey Kong game since the Nintendo 64 era. And no, I don't count the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze or Return of Donkey Kong Country, because those are just, it's a 2D style game, but with 3D models and backgrounds. This one is completely 3D. It kind of looks like the Donkey Kong version of Mario Odyssey. You can break stuff, destructible environment. Although I did notice a certain sidekick named Diddy. I wonder why Nintendo forgot about him. A little suspect, but I can understand why. Next, we got the Kirby All-Star Racing. It's a sequel to an old GameCube game. Never played the first one. I don't know. It just didn't really interest me. I'm not that big of a Kirby fan. And next, they also got Metroid Prime 4, a game that so many of us gamers have been looking forward to. I've never played Metroid Prime, but this game makes me kind of want to pick up the series. I just got Metroid Prime Remastered. Might be playing that game pretty soon. And then they got Final Fantasy 13. Who would have thought a Sony exclusive would be on not only PC, but Nintendo too? That's pretty hype. And they even have freaking Elden Ring. The Elden Ring. One of the biggest games of this generation. It's going on a Switch 2, so you can play that on the go. That is pretty big. And speaking of like Souls-like games, well, they also have their own exclusive Soulsborne game. It's a spiritual successor to Bloodborne, called Dustblood. It looks pretty good. Fortunately, doesn't really interest me much because Souls-like games have never had a good relationship with me. Why? Because I just absolutely suck at them. I am horrible at Souls. I've tried Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne. I am horrible at all of them. It's not really fun to me to bash my head against the wall trying to beat a boss. Hey, I respect those of you who like it. Hold on, I'm just gonna take a sip of water here. Hey, I respect those who you like it. I get it, you like a challenge. All the power to you. Just not my cup of tea. And then they got some more. Hold on, I had it written down here. Yeah, they got like Borderlands 4's coming. We got like many more. Some indie games. Hades 2. They have a really impressive lineup of games coming. Like the best we've ever had. But unfortunately, now that I've praised Nintendo, I gotta give them some criticism. Unfortunately, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. The $80 Mario Kart World. What the heck, Nintendo? We can barely afford eggs. How are we supposed to afford $80 frickin' dollars for Mario Kart? The same game you've been selling us since the Super Nintendo. Really? And some rumors say that it's going to be $90 for physical. Heck. And then, of course, their response to that was, you can't afford a Switch 2? Get a Switch Lite. That's really how you talk to your customers. Pulling a page out of Doug Bowser's book. Oh, no wait, not Doug Bowser. He was the one who said that. But the president of pulling a page out of 2014's Microsoft's book. Well, they said, don't have good internet? Buy a 360. Yeah, you can see what happened to him. He no longer has a job at Microsoft. Just saying that you might want to think a better plan for handling this PR. But I digress. And the price of the Switch 2 is going to be $450. Not bad, but it could be a little better, but I get it. You got some nice specs in there. It's competitive. It's decent for what you're getting. But, you know, that kind of reminds me of a similar pricing and the shock that the audience had when revealed. Oh yeah, they're pulling a 2006 PlayStation 3. You know, the $599 US. Also was a tough pill to swallow. But I digress. Fortunately, Nintendo kind of disappointed. Oh yeah, now we have to talk about the game keycards, which is basically everything about physical, but without it being physical. They fuse digital and physical together. So you have a physical card, you put it into your Switch, but you have to download everything. And none of the actual data is on the cart itself, which kind of sucks. It kind of defeats the point. You know, it's all the hassle of physical, but without the convenience of digital. The only perk I can see is you can now share your digital games with your buddies, but that's limited too, I guess. And their newest gimmick to the Switch 2 is the chat feature. Like, congratulations Nintendo, you finally made it to 2006 Microsoft Xbox 360. And I don't know, maybe they took a few pages from Discord because they got like video chat in there, but camera sold separately. Does not come with the Switch. Like I said before, they gotta sell us accessories. Gotta sell us accessories. But unfortunately, I'm just disappointed, man. You know, Nintendo, you had this. You had this in the bag. All you had to do was show up and not F it up. That's all you had to do. But you blew it. You blew it. You blew it. No. Just a little disappointed. Nintendo, you had a great start, but you got a bit greedy and you blew it. You know, this has been my 2 cents on Nintendo. You know, people think I'm a Nintendo hater. I'm not. I love Nintendo. I've been playing Nintendo games since I was 3 years old. I remember playing Mario on the NES. I played every Nintendo console. I played NES, I played Super Nintendo, GameCube, Nintendo 64, the Wii, and even current day with the Switch 1. And I even got a Switch OLED. Like, I love Nintendo. I only criticize Nintendo because I want them to be better. I want to be better for the consumer, for me, for you. You know, I want to be better, so I don't know what's going on there, Nintendo. This has been my 2 cents on the Nintendo Switch 2. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And subscribe to the channel if you want more. I'm going to try to post every week to every 2 weeks. We're going to see how that goes. So, this is Marky Mark, signing out. Have a good one.